I had served in Kishtwar from the year 2000 to almost 2003 for almost 3 long years, and we had broken the back of terrorism in that area. Unfortunately, because terrorism had been finished, destroyed south of the Pir Panjal, there was a sense of complacency. A lot of troops were withdrawn from these areas. They were in the process of downsizing the army, in the process of reducing our manpower, and because the area was totally pacified, we had taken away uniform force, sent it to Ladakh. Then we had taken out troops from Rajouri, Poonch. We had also taken out a number of troops from the area of Kishtwar, Doda, etc. So this thinning out of troops gave Pakistan a chance to re-infiltrate some terrorist groups. The initial terrorist groups had crossed the LC and had come into Rajouri, Poonch, where the terrorist grid, counter-terrorist grid, had been almost totally removed. And because of that, they took advantage of the absence of any of our military posts, intelligence grid, and they carried out some terrorist incidents in which they were able to take the security forces by surprise and inflict casualties on them. But I am very happy to state that now Delta Force and very specifically 9 Sector RR, the mystic 9th sector, have totally turned the tables onto the terrorists and gained moral and physical ascendancy in this area. A group of 10 terrorists from the Jaish-e-Mohammed, led by the Saifullah, a commander. Some people say that this man was a former SSG commando and that he had been operating in Rajouri, Poonch, where he had carried out many daring attacks on our forces, taken them by surprise. And then when pressure was brought up there, he had tried to escape via Doda into the forests into the high mountain, rugged mountains of Kishtwar. Last year in May, he had reached this area with a group of 10 Jaish-e-Mohammed hardened Pakistani terrorist operatives, and he had tried to establish a base in the Chhatru area, high up in the mountains that dominate Kishtwar Bol, right? Initial contact had been established with them by Delta Force in the month of May last year, and then they carried out, instead of letting them go, they carried out relentless operations. We made a special effort to seal all the passes that lead from Kishtwar to the valley to ensure that these people did not try and get out of the Kishtwar mountainous belt and try and get into the valley proper through these, a number of passes that are there. So we had dominated the heights and carried out relentless operations through the snow, through the winter, through the rains, through the mud and slush, etc. And we kept this group under pressure. Finally, this year in January, we regained contact with this group. They had been trying to get out of this area, but we had totally blocked all the ridges, all the passes, all the dhoks that were there. We were dominating the high mountains. And then on the 4th of February, again, contact was established. This time we bursted one of their major hideouts where thousands of kilograms of rations had been stored by them for the winter. They had local support networks through the OGWs, and through them they had built up their stores, their stocks to last the winter, right? Because heavy snow takes place in that area. So we burst that hideout, and then they tried to run away from there, but we relentlessly pursued them. And on 22nd of February, we were able to, we were on the ridges, and we saw that they were in a ridge down below. One of our attack dogs, Tayson, was then sent to sniff them out, and to ensure that there were no civilians in that particular area. This attack dog, a very brave dog, he went inside that dhok and he bit those terrorists. and in desperation they opened fire, and we could make out that, locate them in that dhok. You see, this dog was wounded in the leg, but he has survived. I am very happy. I do think he will be honored and recognized, the bravery of this attack dog, which led us to this terror hideout and the terror group. So then we opened fire with rocket launchers, hit them from the roof, and they were surprised because they were expecting us to come from the front, and they had the front covered with their AK-47s. There were 4 of them there, including Saifullah. Adil, aide to IC, second in command, had been eliminated earlier. Saifullah was there along with 4. They were all 4 of them have been killed. So with this, we have killed a total of 7 and 3 last year. All 10 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists who tried to come into Kishtwar have been eliminated, have been wiped out without a trace, which is, I think this is a very great success and a feather in cap of the security forces. It was a combined operation with seamless combination of the army, the RR, Rashtriya Rifles, Special Forces, the CRPF and the police, the J&K police. They have carried out a very well coordinated, seamlessly conducted operation, relentless operation which lasted for months. We gained contact, they tried to break contact, we chased them, resumed contact with them, pinned them down, and finally the entire group has been destroyed. I think congratulations are due to Major General APS Bal from my regiment, from my battalion, 6th Battalion Jammu and Kashmir Rifle, who is the General Officer commanding Delta Force, who was the General Officer commanding Delta Force. And what we are happy to note is that for a long time we were at the receiving end because the troops had been thinned out, the CI grid had been removed, and therefore we were vulnerable in that area. But now we have regained moral ascendancy. 7-0. That is the kind of an exchange rate which was there in my time. And the fact that the entire very notorious Jaish-e-Mohammed group has been wiped out from Kishtwar is a feather in the cap of the security forces, all of them combined. And we have regained the moral ascendancy which seemed to be a bit in question last year because of the pulling out of troops from that area which had happened, the thinning out of our CI grid that had taken place, that had cost us some losses. And we found that most of the encounters, the terrorists were inflicting casualties and getting away. Not now. They had been pinned down into that area, confined to the upper reaches and destroyed, killed to the last man. A number of weapons and warlike stores, including AK-47 rifles, etc., have been recovered, and we have eliminated a very dangerous Jaish-e-Mohammed group before it could do any significant damage at all. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.